It's still the 21st day of the first quarter of the second year. It has been immeasurably full, and somehow time is standing still. We start with Motiva as you're actively running through the Witherbloom campus. That sort of panic that you have had sitting under your skin ebbing into a numbness as you go to find Onyx's office. Giselle having split off from you to run over to administration. Uh, if you want to walk me through a little bit of how you're feeling, what you're doing, feel free.
Uh, I I think that calling it numb is just about right. I think Motiva's really tired from people like looking to her for answers for anything about
Mm-hmm.
any of this. Uh, I think that her anxiety is like glazed behind her eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just trying so hard to be normal about it and not look as affected.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, she is trying.
You're trying. And if anybody notices any cracks in your veneer, unfortunately, you have had a life of hiding, of lying, of feeling things inside and not letting it leak out. So, after those first couple times of people comforting you, if people notice that it's still affecting you so strongly, no one said, which is a blessing and a curse at the end of the day. But you go over to Witterson's Hall, you're running up the steps, and you go to Onyx's office, the delicate plaque on the front that reads the fake name that you know, Seraphina Onyx. Um, if you try the doorknob, it's not locked. You think that is a show of how quickly Onyx left when you last saw her 5 hours ago.
Yeah. Uh, Motive is going to delicately open it.
Okay. You delicately open it, and the office is as you've seen it any time, but empty. Uh, the desk is strewn with papers. One drawer is left half cocked. You see the painting of the man on the back wall, and myriads of magical components and necromantic knickknacks. What do you do?
Uh, well, I'm still a little snoop. Motive is gonna have a half look at the drawer that's half opened.
Okay, we can do that. I'll roll you a seek. Or a search, I guess is what it's called. What's your perception, and do you have anything to add to a search?
No, but it is +7.
Okay, awesome. You go to look in and you see more papers, mostly what you can glean as you sort of look. Sorry, Lily's being really loud.
I know.
It's really hard to take anything seriously. She sounds like she's dying. You glance into this drawer half-heartedly, but still looking, and you actually see some graded paperwork. Uh, you don't necessarily see numbers or what it is, um, but you manage to kind of get enough of an eyeful to kind of glean um, that this is schoolwork from one of your fellow planeswalkers, Talisha. And it does not seem to be well received.
Oh?
I mean, do you take longer to like look through it?
Well, now I want to.
If you think Motiva would, you can.
I think she would.
Yeah, so you go and you kind of open the drawer a little bit more to pick up the papers and you shuffle through them. And the gist of sort of what this paperwork and these like notes are um, is that Talisha has been taking a lot of coursework mechanically, like the cram action that like Falin has been doing, um, but has not found it successful. And one key note that you find from Liliana's own hand um, is a comment that Talisha might not actually be well suited to necromantic work at all.
Yikes! She puts that back. Don't roll things, please.
What are you doing?
I'm putting that back
Okay, you put it back.
delicately
Mm-hmm.
as I found it.
Okay, 1 second.
Stop!
Okay.
What the fuck can you even roll for that?
I was thinking like society basically or like deception to be able to like put it back and like make it look like it's not tampered with was what I was thinking.
Okay, both my society and deception are the same. So
Yeah, that's
fine.
why I did, that's why I was like and or I didn't have to decide. It was both the same bonus.
Oops. Yeah, Motiva's just gonna put that back. I'm assuming at this point Motiva has her like guitar bag with her.
Yeah, I imagine you have your stuff with you. I imagine you have had your stuff on you since you got home and actually managed to get changed.
Yeah. Motiva's going to take it
Mm-hmm.
off, and she's going to take out one of her notebooks, and she's gonna leave like a note behind, really quick scrawl that's just found Falin. Stop looking for her. She's here.
Okay. And you leave it on her desk?
Yes. Yeah. She would like specifically be. She's in Duradar.
Okay, awesome. You can definitely
Durador.
do that. Dorador.
Durador. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you leave a little short message kind of updating Onyx for whenever she comes back, and you leave it. I assume in like a part of the desk that looks like it would be very easy to notice.
Yeah. Like she would like fold it. Like she would make it as like obvious as possible. Like there's like a circle around it like 5 times with bright red ink that's just like,
Mhm.
look at me.
You definitely can do that. Awesome. Is there anything else you do before you leave the office?
I'm scared. I feel like I feel like you're wanting me to do something.
No, I'm just asking.
Okay.
I have
Then
to
no.
ask. I'm your DM.
I know, but I'm scared.
That's super fair. As you go to leave Onyx's office, closing the door behind you, you feel the eyes from the man in the portrait on your back as you click the door shut.
Shut the fuck up.
Before you have a chance to sort of like leave and go down the stairs, you actually hear pretty heavy footfalls as you see Will actually turn the corner at the top of the stairway, looking haggard, out of breath. His leather armor on and his sword at his side.
Motiva nods and says she's with Giselle's mom,
Okay,
a doctor.
that's good.
And Giselle. Yeah. We just should go. Giselle's over. She's gonna like take out her broom and she's gonna say, "Hop on, kid."
You see him go to kind of nod and go to do it. But something that you kind of pick up in this moment, like of awkward tension, that it was a little bit awkward, but you get the feeling that he was almost prepared to have to make a case and was relieved whenever you were like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Motiva's making him side saddle behind her, and she is hop stepping it to Hashmal and administration.
Okay, awesome. You head over, and it's a blur. As you see that the sort of end of Twilight is sort of starting to wrap up. Still probably a couple hours before the sun sets, but you get over to administration, and Giselle is kind of waiting, doing this sort of like, you know, the standing up version of bouncing your leg?
Yeah.
Just kind of like fidgeting in place, holding the paper and trying to keep an eye out for you as you pull up on your broom. She also looks like she's going to say something when she sees Will, but then decides not to. And unless you say anything to her, I think she's just going to start casting the spell.
Motiva's gonna like give a shrug and like not look at him, but like she's doing girl code for we have to bring him with.
She gives you kind of a look that like looks pitying and like does like a gesture and like a little kind of like small nod, seemingly ignoring communicating directly with Will, but being like, yeah, yeah,
You know.
I can't argue, yeah. Um, uh, but she goes to do the spell, and with that, we are actually going to go over to Flynn.
Hi.
Hi, Flynn. You don't know how long you've been here. It feels like it could have been 30 minutes since you ended up on that cove, or it could have been 2 days. But right now, you're sat on a plush carpet with a blanket around you, as Lowry pushes a mug of warm liquid into your hand. It smells vaguely of citrus. As she kind of gives you a grin and says, "Spruce tips for energy."
Thank you.
I'll just get you warmed up, okay? And she goes to rub at your shoulders a little bit as you kind of sit at the foot of the chair that Annalise is sitting in. You both have been chit-chatting since she sent her message. And this is something that was alluded to earlier, but the longer you are around her is the more obvious that it is. How she's treated, how she reacted when she tried to stand on her own. She is not, whether it is allowed or able to kind of do things, she has the air of being taken care of. I would love if you would also talk me through how you think that Flynn is feeling. If she's doing anything, if she's talking about anything.
I think she is trying her absolute hardest to just be patient
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with waiting for someone to get her.
It's very hard. It's very hard to sit and wait. It's very hard to be told to calm down when this is a situation where calm can't enter into the equation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost this mix between adrenaline drop the longer you sit there, but also this skittering anxiousness, that restlessness, that there has to be something more you can do, but there isn't. You're sitting here, barely clothed, covered in dirt, with none of your things. So all you can do is sit here, and how you feel about it, I think, is up to you.
Um, she's definitely not happy about it. I feel like there's a part of her that is still has that anger from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's quieter now, I think it's definitely something that she's like kind of part of her brain is like keeping an eye on it and keeping a check on it. And in order to try and distract herself from that and like distract herself from the restlessness of needing to do something, she just keeps talking to Annalise and to Lowry. I feel like in particular she's asking Annalise a lot of questions about Giselle and about what she herself is up to.
Yeah, I think that she's very open about it. She has a lot of free time, and she talks about like trying new things, but like to your ear, somebody who is very well lived, somebody who's in the middle of school, who has a very busy life, to you it doesn't sound like she's doing a lot, but how she talks about it shows that even small things feel very large to her. She talks about how she has a home here, um, and she spends time with Lowry. And she also mentions, she repeats a name that you heard earlier, Vivian, um, as well as her wife, Dara, are kind of like the people that she ends up spending time with while Giselle is away. Um, but, you know, the rest of the Quinnet clan are also around. Um, and on the topic of the Quinnet clan, at some point, the two gnomes that fished you out of the river do come back, sort of half talking to you and trying to keep high spirits to you, and also talking quietly with Lowry and Gnomish, similarly to what they did earlier. Um, but they go to introduce themselves. The ginger man is named Maynor, and the older one is Tidful.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
I think she like knows the answer already, but she is going to ask them if they have found anything.
Maynor looks like he hesitates the answer, but Tidful kind of gives you. There's a way that they are interacting with you, which is a way that people interact with people a lot when they've dealt with something really hard or really awful, where there's almost like a condescension of comfort, you know? It's a pity, right? As opposed to a sympathy. Um, and so the way that Tidful gives you like a downturn of like their eyebrows um, is a bit pitying whenever they quietly say no. Uh, we've skimmed the bottom of 3 of the 5 deltas near where we found you, and most of the cricks, but
I think she looks almost like self-deprecating when she hears that.
mm-hmm.
And she says, like, I guess it was foolish to hope for something. It'd be too easy, right? Thank you. Oh.
Well, things that get washed down the river have a way of being found when they need to be. But we've got people still out there, good people, skilled on a boat, looking. We'll send a message over to the school when we hear of anything. It's no one here wants to hear about students going missing. You'd be surprised how often you meet someone who has ties to that school over there.
It appears to be more common than I thought. And she kind of looks to Annalise.
If we can manage to get Vivian over here to, collect her, she'll want to see if Giselle stops by too. You'll have a whole room full of people.
Hopefully soon.
And you see they kind of go to look at the redhead man Maynard, still kind of looking between like a fake sort of smiley and like a worried look, and almost goes to like, I don't know if I can describe this motion correctly, but almost like Tidful playfully like cuffs him on the ear and like starts to like snap at him in like half gnomish, half common, to basically like stop wallowing, stop looking like that. You're stressing everyone out.
You're bringing the vibes down, man.
Truly bringing the vibes down.
I think Flynn will thank them again for their work at searching, and I think she's gonna kind of look between everyone and say, I am. I know there's people coming, but is there somebody who can scry here?
You see Lowry go to give a bit of a small sigh and says, unfortunately not. I know at least us, we're humble isn't the right word, but that's what I'm trying to give to. Not many of at least my family is magically inclined. I know Annie over here doesn't do any, and anything either of the Lees can do is not particularly in that realm. We're very practical, I guess is what I would say. Your best bet would be to get to go back to your fancy school with all your fancy spellcaster teachers. I'm sure they can. If it's a spell that happened to make this happen, then somebody's there has to know how to undo it. To figure out the particles.
Yes, I suppose it's my best bet.
I understand. And you're surrounded by people who want to support and help you, but it is another one of those moments that you have continued to experience since leaving your home, where everyone here is supportive and wants to help and is helping in some capacity. Not only are you, as a student of Strixhaven, just a bit above the average person or spellcaster, but even you as a planeswalker, you have felt that before, even amongst your peers, and interacting with humble folks, the kind of people that live in the villages and cities of Arcavios. It is staggering the different levels that you are on in your worries and capabilities.
I feel like she kind of takes that in this moment, and her external response to that sort of line of thinking here is she goes ahead and she puts on a smile, and she is going to say as nonchalantly as she can, nothing to do about it, but wait now. But please, who is this Vivian Nandara? Looking to Annalise again, trying to change the topic of discussion.
Definitely. You can definitely change the topic of discussion, but I'll give you one last line that sits really heavy in your chest. You're in a room full of people, and I don't think you've felt this alone in a long time. But Annalise does go to indulge your question, and she gives a bit of a smile and says, they're friends of mine and friends of Giselle. When I was getting settled here, I wasn't very keen on it, and I was very afraid where I come from. And there's like a moment where like you can pick up that she has also had to curb sort of the way that she talks about things. And not in the same way that you do, but it's, you know, the implication that she's giving. Knowing how things work and relying on people was the way to have a good life. It was very scary trying to start over somewhere new. So when Giselle moved me out here, she got me a home on the waterfront, and some parents of a friend of hers check up on me and help me move around the city. They're actually how I met Lowry and why I come to her now.
Does their child also go to Strixhaven?
Yes. If you're as close with Giselle and Motiva as she made it out to be, then you probably know her. Her name is Mina. She's a silver quill, I think.
Oh, that's delightful. I'm glad that they're here and close by.
I would truly be lost without them. Because of school, Giselle didn't get to stay for very long when I was getting settled, but you know, things change and life moves on, but it's nice.
She will nod. I feel like I don't have anything else that specific line of conversation, and I feel like Flynn is gonna like. She's trying to make it lighthearted and be like, "Oh, you have to tell me some stories of Giselle when she was a kid."
Yeah, I definitely think that she would like go down that thought line with you. I will warn you, the stories are very sparse or very short. You know where Giselle came from.
Yeah.
It's sucks shit city, you know what I mean? But you know, you kind of swap stories back and forth. Um, and one particular story of note, and this is something that you might have heard about, but it doesn't get brought up often. But one of the reasons why Giselle got into fishing is she would go out into the city to go to the harbor, um, because like to like bring her back jewelry, because she wasn't able to walk around the city. Um, and through that thorough line, Annalise, I think, would share that she used to have a husband named Henry who was a fisherman. Uh, so that's sort of like the story I can tell you about Giselle as a kid, but I think it's very sweet regardless.
Yeah.
Um, but most of your time is small talk, sort of trying to keep back the shadows and bask in the little comfort that you can manage to get. Uh, and so then we're gonna go back to Motiva.
Hello.
Hi, Motiva. Uh,
Hi.
you are currently mid teleport. The scrolls for teleporting within the plane are a lot easier to handle than any of the ones that are plane shifts. I don't think you've used terribly many. I know you've used a couple, um, but it's definitely like lighter, it's quicker, it's easier, and you and your little party of 3 sort of pop out in this sort of muggy air that's humid and heavy, even though the sun is very close to sunset. Um, it is darker than you would expect Twilight to be, the way that you're used to it on Arcavios, because there's a sparse canopy of mangroves all throughout this city, half on the river, and full of these sort of like wooden buildings and walkways, um, with colorful lanterns and murals to sort of break up the monochromatic cityscape. Um, in the center is this sort of huge river with small canoes that are pushed through its sort of lazy wind. But Giselle doesn't really stop to let you take in the rest of the city as she goes to walk sort of along um, this waterway, away from a house that you guys teleported in front of. But she is decidedly going in a different direction.
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Motiva's grabbing Will's arm and they are chasing Giselle.
Okay, Slay. I don't think that she's running. My sweet Giselle, she can only run a little bit, but I definitely think that she's going very quickly, and she seems relatively familiar with the sort of city layout. Um, and I'm gonna.
Also, I say grab Will. Giselle can't run a little fast, can only run a little fast. William should not run a little fast, in my opinion.
He should not.
Please go ahead.
That's when you fall ass over tea kettle. I was just doing some rolls.
Don't.
That's fine. You kind of hear and see Giselle kind of stutter and stop a bit. Before she kind of calls out and waves at a woman that looks like she's about to pass you, actually. And you see that she's sort of dressed in definitely clothes for the weather, as it's really warm right now. And these sort of like this sort of like silk button up and silk trousers with this sort of like vest half done over it. Her hair is sort of in this like I would say like a shag, but like short.
Okay.
Anime boy mullet, you know?
Anime volleyball. Okay, I understand.
Yes, I see the shape in my brain. I'm so sorry if that's a really unprofessional way to describe it, but
No, it's okay.
you see that she turns and looks surprised, vaguely pleased, vaguely alarmed, as Giselle goes to kind of like grab her arm, to kind of like whisper something really, really urgently at her. You can come up if you want to try to listen in, but you would have to come in and actively try.
I don't need to. I'm gonna slither sister over and share senses.
Okay, so are you gonna slither her across the ground?
I'm just gonna put her over Giselle.
Like flying over Giselle?
Like, snake extend neck, crawl onto Giselle.
Oh, okay. Okay, 1 second. People will have a response to that. That is a snake.
It's a beautiful snake.
It is a beautiful snake. It is a snake.
She's very,
Surprise
very gorgeous to me.
snake. And also, just as a heads up with shared senses, you are inert when that happens.
Yeah. Motiva's just gonna lean on Will and she's just gonna be like, hey buddy, you need to act casual really quickly.
I love that idea instead of just going up to Giselle talking with the person. Motiva looks at a situation and needs to be sneaky every time.
She needs to. I gotta eavesdrop.
Okay, well, you definitely do that. You do startle Giselle and the person in the process. But you see that Giselle, like, spooks and then looks at Sister, and there's almost like a look of annoyance as she's like, oh, stop it, and goes to continue talking. The gist of the conversation was basically just like, basically the gist of the conversation was just saying that, like, oh, her mom is at Lowry's and we need to go to Lowry's. This, that, and the other. It's just like updating them about something.
Okay. Sister gives Giselle a little kiss and stays there, and the motif is normal again.
Slay. Sorry that wasn't juicier. It really was nothing important.
No. Don't worry. This is my... Listen. Sometimes players can dig their own graves. It's okay.
It's okay. You didn't dig a grave. I just think it's very funny to be shown a situation where Motiva could have asked, and Motiva was like, no. That's cringe.
No.
That's cringe. I can't do that.
I don't know her.
It's very in character. I think it's very delightful.
I don't know her.
Awesome. But you guys, as a unit, now go over to a quaint little building. Sort of on the fringes. You move away from the water to get to, I want to say it's maybe like 5 blocks away total, so not very far, into this sort of squat and long, like 1-story building. That has a sort of wooden sign outside, and it says, like, physician, I think is the word. But you see that Giselle doesn't knock, instead going to throw open the door with a little jingle of a bell. And you guys are reunited as Falin. What you see is the door being thrown wide. You see Giselle coming in, looking harried. Followed by Will and Motiva, who is dressed down. If you don't remember, this is the outfit. This is the best part about having talk sprites, is I can just show you the outfit straight away.
Oh, yeah, no. Don't worry, I have Motiva's toy house up right now. I'm looking at her.
I love... Okay, slay.
Are you mentally ill?
And you also see an unidentified woman, again, in sort of this silk slacks and button-down shirt with a vest. And then Motiva, what you see is a room full of people. You see 3 gnomes. Most notably, there is one who is this sort of wizened old gnome with sort of like hair that's cropped really close to the scalp, sort of like buzzed, I would say. You see a ginger man with this sort of beard. You see a woman with spiky blue and purple hair, and mismatched eyebrows. And you see Annalise sitting at a chair, looking as you both come in with this sort of like bright and like hopeful smile. And on the floor in front, you see Falin, wrapped in a blanket, looking bedraggled. What's everybody doing?
Well, I can tell you right now, as soon as she sees those guys on the door, she's putting her fucking cup down, and she is ignoring Lowry's advice yet again, and she is going to stand up.
Why don't you roll me a fortitude save? Actually, before you do that, this is important, actually. I need you to roll me a d20.
What
Oh my
the
god.
fuck?
You have a
Hello?
DC flat check right now.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
that's right.
I got that one.
Oh, nope,
Oh.
you are fatigued for the rest of the day. But you can put that on your sheet.
Alright,
That's
let
what
me...
you get for fucking cramming, baby. I was
Whee!
actually listening to that just at work, and I was just like, oh man, I hope I remember to do that. Not right now, I didn't hope.
Oh.
Fortitude?
Yeah, now it's fortitude. In case there's anything that the fatigue affects.
Ooh. Okay, I rolled good. I rolled a 19, and it's
Okay.
a +8 now with the fatigue.
Slay.
I'm sorry, I think the silence is in character. I think Motif is just staring at Falin, and she's just like, I should have brought you clothes. I'm sorry.
Fullen is ignoring that. She is walking very stiffly, bit shakily, to give Motiva a hug.
She will meet her halfway so she does not have to support herself up. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think what's really fun about you doing that is that obviously this room is now exploding in like noises and words of people asking, you know, like people who are obviously like worried and concerned and also glad that this reunion is happening. But you also see that like Will also took a step or two forward before you both kind of wrap each other in your arms, and I think he's still kind of like, he thinks better of it, but he goes over to the both of you anyway and kind of puts a hand on your head, Flynn.
Aw.
And I don't...
He is getting dragged into the hug, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, Slay, he wasn't going to do it, but if you make him, he will not hate it.
If Giselle comes over, she's getting in too. This is a threat.
I think Giselle goes to look at you, but I think Giselle actually goes to speak to Lowry.
Motif is gonna look at Will. He has his fucking cloak.
I think
Yeah.
he has a cape. He doesn't have a cloak in his outfit.
That's a cloak enough. Motif is gonna like motion to him and say, "Let her wear that. She's barely has any clothes. Come on."
He will take it off. I will say that to make that sort of like work and actually be clothes, you would have to wear it like a towel, because the way that capes work, they don't go over your shoulders. They are just attached to the back of your clothes.
I don't know how to remind you. Her whole booty cheek is out.
No, that's fine. I'm just telling you that that's how you have to wear it. It's not like, you know. But wait, no, because you had, well, did you leave the blanket? Because you were covered in a blanket.
I was covered in a blanket. I imagine she did not care about trying to keep it secure over her.
Okay.
She also does not care about being booty-ass naked right now, which I think is very funny.
I think it's very funny and very telling. I do think that Will cares. I think Will is going to try to, like, wrap it around you, like incorrectly, but trying to like cover you a little bit. You know what I mean?
Haha.
Motiva's gonna like look to Flynn and say, I believe that this is very touching, but I don't think you should be standing right now.
I'm fine. Do you know where Eleni is?
That was Ash noise.
That was nice noise.
That would have been hilarious if it was in character.
God, no. Could you fucking imagine? No. Motiva, like, thinks for a second, and she, like, stares, and she shakes her head, and she says, no. Onyx is looking for Eleni right now. A lot of people are looking for Eleni right now, but we found you first.
She looks distraught to hear this. And she's kind of like not looking at anybody. Her eyes are kind of like going back and forth, like she's trying to parse through thoughts of like, okay, what could we possibly do now then?
I think that Will is going to speak up after Motiva says that and sees kind of your reaction and goes to like kind of like rub his thumb like against your shoulder where he wrapped the cape around you, and I think he goes to kind of say in like almost in like tandem with Motiva saying that like everybody's trying to find Eleni, but we found you first. I think Will kind of says under his breath that like you were very lucky to be flung here instead of somewhere else. I think that's the only way we found you so fast.
She kind of gives like a bitter huff of a laugh, and it's like, I was not expecting to be. I was surprised when Larry told me what I was.
After you say that, I feel like Giselle finishes talking to Lowry and comes up to you and is gonna kind of really gently put her hands on your cheeks to kind of like look at you a bit and say, well, at least it's not shock. Do you need any healing?
I think she's like quiet for too long. And then she just kind of wordlessly nods.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks almost upset about the fact that she needs healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she kind of like whispers to Giselle, it feels like my body has been dragged across the fucking wastes.
You look like it, but you're with us now.
She's gonna lean on Giselle a bit.
Giselle is gonna give you a little bit of a heal.
God fucking
My wife can
bless!
heal? My wife can heal?
Yes.
My wife can fucking heal?
Yeah. Giselle can specifically give you a soothe.
Ooh!
Oh, I can also give you a potion. I can heal. I have a healing potion minor. 1d8 hit points, baby.
Don't use that right now. I'm telling you what, don't use that right now.
Oh. Oh wait, if you're sickened, you can't use that.
Oh yeah, fun fact by the way, I looked at fatigue. You can't do any exploration. You can't seek, you can't search, you can't treat wounds, you can't recall knowledge.
Can't do shit!
Yeah, you're
My
fucking
brain's gone.
tired. You get you get 21 HP back.
Wow, that's so many! I'm like
Yeah.
almost back to full.
That's slay. That's a level 2 soothe, baby.
Wow!
Hot damn. Motiva's gonna look at Giselle and just, I didn't know you knew how to do that.
It was honestly one of the first spells I tried to learn. I thought it sounded like the most useful magic I could have.
Incredibly useful, thank you.
thought for flavor, because Giselle is bard coded. I feel like her soothe is quite literally her soothing you with her hands like on your cheeks and trying to like shush you. You know what I mean?
Aww.
And but it is magically enhanced.
Magically enhanced. Oh, to be soothed by a pretty lady.
Magically enhanced. Shush. Lowry?
Yes?
Motiva's going to get up and walk over to them.
Oh, I'm so glad that you showed up. It was really hard to sit here and watch her sitting like that. It's really good that, you know, you're all back together and can, you know, keep up the fight.
She's gonna take a second, and she's gonna say, "You're the doctor."
I am.
Motiva's voice is gonna go as low as possible, and she's going to say, "Valen is pregnant, and you need to check if that has been terminated."
You see a very sharp look meet your eye as like she wants to like gasp, but she's able to like hold herself back from it as she goes to like steal her expression and nod. And she is actually going to clap her hands together and say, "All right, I know you're about to go back, and I know that there's a lot of work to be done, but Valen, dear,
Yes?
it would make me feel a lot better, and I'm sure it'll make Annie over here feel a lot better if you let me give you a real checkup before you go. There's really nasty stuff out in the deltas. It would make me feel a lot better if I didn't send you back poisoned or with trench foot." That was me specifically, Panini, trying to think of things that you could get in the swamp. She would have said it a lot more convincingly.
Yeah, I feel like Flynn is a little hesitant, only because she's very much wants to get back, but she's gonna look at Lowry and just kind of nod and say, okay.
All right, good. Okay, so you can just lay down on the rug. It's fine. I'm too small to reach a table or anything. You can just sit down.
She will go ahead and sit down.
Awesome. And you actually see, let me look up this spell again. Because Lowry does know spells. They're just very specific ones.
Yeah, I can imagine. Also, Motif is gonna thank Annalise for contacting Giselle so quickly.
Oh, yes. Annalise goes to kind of give you a kind smile, and honestly, if you come close enough, she goes to grab your hand, and hold one hand in both, and says, honestly, you should really thank, Giselle. I wouldn't have been able to without the item she gave me.
What?
It's how we talk. And she goes to show you this sort of like, she pulls it out of her pocket, but she treats it really delicately, and it's basically there's like this square of slate, with a sort of like carved border on it. And you see that it looks like it has had like chalk like scrubbed away. And she says, we write to each other with this. I'm not sure who I would have went to talk to about getting into contact with her if I didn't have it.
What the fuck is that?
It's a level, it's a 13th level magic item is what it is.
Giselle.
If you want to look it up, it's called Slates of Distant Letters. It's basically like a sending stone. Fun fact, I had to look this up whenever I ported over the sending stone phones in Pathfinder. Those are always over 10th level items.
I'm not gonna lie, that's really smart.
It is really smart. So, you guys have your phones and your hyper-specific situation. If you want long-term communication with people, it's going to be a lot more difficult.
Fair enough.
But
Motiva will nod and say, I'm glad that you can communicate with her.
I am too, and thank you for coming so quickly. You know, she told me that she didn't know where you were either, so I'm really glad that you're safe. I know it's selfish. I know you have a friend still out there, but at the very least, I'm glad that you're still all right.
No. Me and Giselle had that conversation. We're of the same mind on many things.
And I'm glad. It's good for her. This place is very different. And it's hard to connect with people like that. So I'm glad. And as you sort of have that side conversation with Annalise, Falin, you are laid down, and you see Lowry go to kind of hold out her hands. And the last time that she was examining you, you felt that there was sort of like a magic being woven in her hands as she touched you. And it didn't heal you for any HP, but that's not the purpose of what her magic is. Because she opens her eyes and you see that there is sort of like a sheen over them. And she goes to very methodically and very delicately put her hands on you. First to the top of your head and your face, to your shoulders, small fingers pressed into the collarbone above your heart, your hands and legs, which have seen the brunt of your walking. You didn't know how long you were out there, but Sarah, you now know, as I said to Motiva, it's been 5 hours. You were out there for 5 hours. Because Motiva showed up very quickly after being contacted. But slowly she goes to put her hands over your core. For a moment, fleeting, and then she lets go of her spell and says, "All right, that's about everything. You're a clean bill of health." But when she says that, she's not looking at you. She's looking at Motiva. And it's a bit hard for you to keep up with in your sort of addled state. But you see her go to give Motiva a little nod and goes to help you stand back up.
One's gonna give her a weak smile and nod and say, "Thank you again for taking care of me."
Of course, there could have been a lot worse things that happened out there. I see him most every day, but with some rest and some time, you know, should be good as new.
Do my best to stay down.
Of course. Oh, and I mean, and you know, congratulations.
She's gonna look confused.
Motiva's going to give the most fucking atrocious glare ever, and I will roll intimidation against this poor fucking NPC.
Roll to coerce, yeah.
Like, her hair starts fucking rising. She looks livid for, like, a very quick second. Coerce is just intimidation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Aha! This is a gnome?
Yeah.
This poor fucking gnome. Plus 11? 30.
Damn!
So something very interesting happens when you do that. You look, Philin, you look confused at Lowry, and Lowry looks confused back at you, looks back over to Motiva, sees, oh wait, no, actually, you actually can't, you actually have to say something to use intimidation, because you don't have intimidating glare, I don't think.
Damn. Crazy.
Damn.
Motiva says... Hold on. God, I just felt my stomach drop the second that it's just like, congratulations, my stomach just fucking fell through my fucking ass. Oh my god. Motiva just nods and she says, congratulations on making it back home, Fulin.
Thank you.
You say that, Motiva, but you are making the worst snarl at this gnome. And you see that, like, Lowry's, like, eyebrows come down. And she looks like she's about to snap at you. But there's something about your countenance that does cow her. But she looks, displeased but stops talking. And is actually going to turn and walk away from the both of you.
Man.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's appropriate right now. That entire interaction was just this.
Yeah!
Once that is all done, Philin is going to, again, try and stand up. She's probably going to try and reach for either a person or a nearby piece of furniture.
You don't have to reach for very long before Will literally helps you up. Like, one hand on your hand, one hand on your lower back. You know, bodily helping you up to stand. But yeah, I think that if you guys stay in this spot for any longer, you guys, if you guys have any questions or things to say to the people here, but I think that, like, if you guys don't, I think that Will actually would probably pretty quickly suggest heading back, so at the very least, Fulin can get on like a clean set of clothes.
Yeah. Motiva's gonna bust out her notebook and she's gonna start writing something down. And she's gonna pass it to Annalise and she's going to say, remind me that I think you would look very nice with a lovely necklace. Please give this to Lowry when you can.
Of course. And she goes to take it and kind of like fold it in her hand and like hold it in a way that makes you reminded that she is practiced in secrecy. But I actually forgot to mention, so Annalise looks a little bit different since the last time you saw her. And I'll give that description really quick. She is still wearing like a really full covering like dress, very regal, but definitely a lot more like humble clothing. And very modest with sort of like layers wrapped around her. But most notably, she now wears like a really high like collar. So you don't see any of the sort of like overrun scarring that you know that she has. But she also wears her red curls long and loose. And she looks less sickly by far after a couple months.
Motiva's going to nod and, if allowed, give a kiss on the forehead.
I think that she would, and I think that she would give you a kiss on the cheek.
She'll hold her hands and say thank you again. And Motiva will actually speak out to the room and say thank you all for finding my friend. I don't think any of us. We've all been beside ourselves trying to find our classmates. Thank you.
You say it, and you see that the two other gnomes that aren't Lowry go to give a nod, and Maynard in particular goes to kind of take off his hat and hold it over his heart, and says, I'm just glad that everything's good. As good as it can be. It's not often that we pull people out of the river and they're still moving. So I'm glad.
I am too. I don't know how to repay you all, but I'll manage to find a way.
You don't have to do that. You really don't.
Well, now I definitely do. And Motiva is going to take out her broom and sit Flynn on it.
Fill in your sack.
She is sad. She's going to look back to Maynir and Tidfil before leaving and like quickly say, if you find a necklace, please let me know.
Of course. We can give a message to Annie, and Annie can give a message over to Giselle, and hopefully she can tell you. Or you know, God's willing, we can mail it to the school. My niece should be able to hand it to you.
Motiva's gonna look. Does that mean that Flynn's holy symbol's gone?
Yeah. It's not there.
Eee.
You didn't think to look because it's a very delicate necklace. It is not there.
Yeah, Motiva's gonna like look, and she's gonna like hold Flynn's cheeks, and she's gonna say, how about as soon as we can, we get you to Exandria? And I know it isn't the same one, but I know that it's important that you have one.
She looks a bit guilty, almost. And she's not really meeting Motiva's eyes, but she just nods.
Okay. I have terrible news.
Yeah.
In Motiva's eyes, this is a job well done.
Yeah. Success.
A
Success.
success. Nothing terrible happened.
Yippee!
Yippee. Yeah, you guys do that. Giselle talks a little bit longer with Annalise and with the unnamed woman that came with you before giving them both a hug and coming to reconvene with the group for you guys to teleport back to the school.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna pause really quick just because. All right, and we're back as you all sort of phase back in onto the campus you know and love. You're right in front of the Biblioplex. As you see the sun go to dip below the horizon as it's now sunset.
Man.
You see the moon is bright and full as it pulls up into the sky. What y'all doing?
I think Flynn gives a bit of like a sigh of relief. And I think she's just gonna kind of take in being back and being okay for the most part.
Yeah, I imagine part of this beginning part is kind of just getting you over to your room to like change.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually
Do
manage to take a shower.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's gonna do some fucking spot washing.
Motiva, what do you think you're doing when you come back?
Motiva is staring at Felin intensely and really, really thinking about how to break a lot of news.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie.
You gotta think about how to do it really carefully.
Yep. I low-key think that they're all just following Flynn.
Yeah, that's honestly what it is. I think the only time somebody peels off is Giselle, and it's just to touch base with other people who are doing stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Motiva would have 100% like go into Giselle and was just like, hey, no offense. We should probably tell somebody that this happened.
What's up?
We should probably tell somebody that we should probably tell like the other walkers that like, oh, we found her.
Oh yeah, so Giselle's gonna peel off and tell people that. I think Will goes with y'all, but I think considering the focus is like to get washed up and dressed, I think that like Will is probably going to sit maybe like in the common area outside your group of dorms. And then it's up to Motiva if like Motiva is around you while you are washing up and changing, or if Motiva is also waiting.
Motiva would have waited. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Flint. I love you.
I love you.
She would not be in the same room with Flynn while she's bathing.
That's fair.
That's fair. I think whenever she is done, she'll like open the door to her dorm for the other two.
Will hesitates, but Will would come in, and I'll say Will maybe like leans on a wall. There is nowhere to sit but the bed in here.
Yeah.
Motiva sits on her broom.
Motiva is sitting on the bed. Not Motiva, Flynn.
I was gonna say, what the fuck?
I was thinking about my wife too much.
I have to look up something. Hold on a second. I have to check something. Okay, never mind.
Huh?
What the fuck?
I think Will is just leaning against the wall, arms like crossed, and like I'll say like kind of staring at you, Flynn. But I think like what he comes down to saying is kind of just like a really quiet, it's good to have you back.
She will give him a tired smile and will say, "It's good to be back, as much as I can be, at least."
Can I ask what happened to you whenever I tried to walk us?
She kind of like rubs out her face a bit and kind of like changes how she's sitting to be like more at attention. And she's not really looking at anybody as she's like recounting things. She says, well, you stepped, and there was a trip, and I was in a void, but there were stars there. There were also doors. And there was a thing, I don't know what it was, moving between the stars. And I tried running to go through one of the doors. I didn't know what was happening, but the one that I tried didn't work. And then one behind me opened and I got sucked through and it hurt like a motherfucker. And then I woke up on a cove. And I tried looking for you and Eleni and I couldn't find you, so I just kept walking. And she gets kind of quiet, like she's like debating whether or not to share this next part. I got very mad. I got very angry. I got mad at gods and divinity. At some point, I ended up in a swamp. And I couldn't. I just started screaming. I lost my necklace because I yanked it off and threw it at a fucking tree.
Ah,
I don't know why I did that. After the scream is when they found me.
well. Well, I can't say I don't understand. I still think that we should go to Exandria. Whoa.
Oh.
Pause.
Okay.
Pause?
Okay, we're back.
Mativa's going to say, I understand why you did that. I won't blame you. And it's probably hard to think about, but I think at least trying to get a supplemental item for your casting would be a good idea. But I will add the citation that if I see you casting when you look like this, I will be slightly sad.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think Felina is just gonna kind of begrudgingly say, I suppose.
I think that Will kind of has a very, I don't want to say placating, but I think he has a very even tone. I think whenever he says, situations like this are hard and they're unfair. It is understandable and reasonable to be angry at life being unfair. I don't think either me or Motiva are frustrated with you about it, so you shouldn't be frustrated with yourself about it.
Thank you.
As surprising as it sounds, I don't know a ton about magic, at the very least, the ones that I don't do. If you're uncomfortable with getting another one for the time being, I'm sure that there are faculty that have options.
She's gonna kind of shake her head and say, "No, no, I need to get another one. I mean it. I don't know why I threw it away as soon as it plopped into the river. I started looking for it."
I mean, I almost drowned myself whenever I. High emotions do weird things to your mind, Falin, and I think that that was okay of you. I'm worried about you, and I'd like to talk how you're feeling about that, but I don't think you should hold it against yourself that you were so upset.
I think she kind of takes a moment to like let those words sink in, and she like closes her eyes and takes a breath, and she's gonna nod, kind of mutter a bit and just say, you're right, I shouldn't. It's fine."
It's allowed to be not fine, but I want you to know it's okay that you were upset. And it's cruel, but I'm glad that you were screaming because I worry that otherwise we wouldn't have found you as quickly.
There's a silver lining, as it were.
It's a silver lining, and I mean, think about it like this. The butterfly effect. Sometimes the really bad things can lead to the really good things. So we shouldn't discount the really bad things happening. Because even if it's unfair in the moment, karma is cool.
She's gonna kind of chuckle at that. And she's gonna say, you're starting to sound like a Lexan priest.
I hope not. I would be a terrible priest.
I'm not gonna lie, Ashton, if Motiva doesn't say something in a couple minutes, Will is going to.
Oh god!
So you better get control over how you're gonna say it right now, or it's gonna be out of your hands.
Will wait 20 turns before he Okay. Motiva's got this. I like to imagine Will's like giving a look, and that's Motiva's fucking countdown.
Yeah, the countdown is the look, and if you beat around the bush too much, I straight up think he's gonna like say something to you to nudge you into talking about it. So.
Oh Jesus. Okay, we got this.
Pressure's on.
Oh Jesus. Motiva's gonna look at Falin and she's gonna say, Falin, how are you feeling physically?
Much better than I was. It's nice not to be covered in river mud.
What a terrible situation. I think Motiva's scared of Will right now. Well, I can't disagree. I wouldn't want to be covered in river mud. I'm gonna be so honest, God. At this point, I'm just curious what Will would say. I don't think Motiva would pick up fast enough to lay it down.
I honestly think, and it's so quiet. It's so quiet, but it's so like real. I think that like he's been like staring at Motiva this whole time, and then Motiva is just like, oh yeah, like I wouldn't be covered in mud either, haha. And I think he just goes, Motiva, when are you gonna tell her?
Oh fuck.
Tell me what?
So, Phelan, I'm going to talk to you about something, and it was told to me in good faith. So I want you to know I'm sorry that I know this before you. And I need you to keep this cool head you've been having just for a little bit longer. And if you want, you can throw a punch at me. If you're mad enough, I won't blame you.
I didn't punch you, Motiva.
If it makes you feel better, then you can punch me instead.
I'm not going to punch you either. Why? What is... I need the context.
Okay, Motiva's gonna take a breath and she's gonna say, okay, here's the context. Phelan, you're pregnant.
I feel like... I don't think there's another way to describe it. She looks absolutely fucking dumbstruck. And she kind of just looks at Motiva.
I'm not joking.
What?
You are pregnant. Grayson found out.
How?
He's a werewolf. Has super smell. I try not too hard to think about it. It's kind of gross. But that's how he found out.
She kind of like looks in the middle distance as she's like processing. And then she just puts her head in her hands.
Yeah. She gets off her broom and she goes to sit by Phelan on the bed and she's gonna say, if there's anything I can do, if there's anything you want right now, the offer to punch me is still there.
I'm not going to punch you.
Are you going to need water?
Probably. Nice tea, maybe.
Well,
something.
We're gonna have to be picky with the tea now.
So Will does a couple things where like I feel like Will has a couple moments where he tries to say something and like it doesn't quite come out, as like both of you are kind of like having this moment. And Will is there and also feeling it, but also like he himself feels distant from it. And the minute you're like, yeah, an iced tea, Will's hand is on the doorknob and like turning it as if he's about to go get it. And then Motiva makes the comment about tea and he like winces.
Yeah, Motiva looks to Will and she says, you'll have to be very specific with the teas. We talked about this.
Oh my god.
I'll ask him.
I feel like
You'll
That makes
ask
Philip look
him.
to Motiva and say, "You talked about this?"
With him, nah, kind of. He sold himself out. That's his fault.
You told her?
Told her? No, he didn't tell me anything. He's just got bad poker face.
Darling.
In my defense, she acted like you told her. So
That's called lying.
I didn't think you would lie about something like that. That
well,
was not my first thought in my defense.
Yes, I lied to him.
She's going to give Motiva a very light punch on the shoulder.
That's fair.
Motiva said this earlier, but I also mirror that sentiment. I'm sorry that people knew before you, but part of me is at least was glad that it was something that we were taking into consideration when looking for you. If you need anything, all you have to do is say it and you'll have it.
He is a text away. I am too. I am 100% down to help you with this.
I think she's gonna, like, hold a hand out to Motiva and is going to hold one out to Will.
Take.
He'll slowly close the door and walk over to come take your hand.
She's gonna take a deep breath. Thank you for telling me. If I need anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay. You see him go to, like, take a second, and he's gonna take the hand that you're holding and pick it up to brush his lips against your knuckles and give them a squeeze. Before extracting his hand from yours and smoothing down your hair, before nodding at Motiva, and he is actually going to leave. He actually is going to bring you tea in a little bit. It's just going to take him a minute.
Motiva's gonna call out to him really quick and is just gonna say, "Don't ask Nim for shit. He's telling them first."
I don't have to say it's for Philin. Close his door.
Do you know any other elves? She's gonna like.
I'm sorry, the phrase "do you even know any other elves" reminds me of that meme that's just like, "You're the most possessive man I know. You know other men?" I can say it's a different elf. You know other elves?
Oh my god.
Motiva holding up a gun. You know other elves. I think like the second he closes the door, she's just gonna look and she's gonna say, "Well, now we have to tell Nim first."
Yes.
Well, which Nim do you want to tell first?
A look of realization dawns upon her face.
You have to tell your family and also your ex-husband. And also your local doctor. And also maybe administration. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah!
Start applying for those resources and help early, baby.
I feel like Philin is gonna... She's gonna give Motiva's hand a squeeze before letting it go. And she's gonna say, "Oh, okay. And she's gonna, like, rub at her temples. I need. Oh gods. First, note of priority, I guess. If Grayson figured this out when I think he figured it out, I need to see whose it is first.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. Maybe we. Well, actually, maybe Nim would know how to do that.
Yes, I want to stop by them first, and if they don't have anything in regards to figuring that out, divination,
Jazz hands.
jazz hands.
There's always options. I
There are
think a Lorehold professor would be delighted to do a paternity test on you.
Hmm. We'll go to Nim first.
Well, she's gonna bring out her broom and she's gonna. Fun fact about this broom. If it has a set destination that Motiva knows, it goes 60 feet per turn.
Ooh.
So Motiva would literally call out like Nim's clinic, and she would look to Philip and says, "We're beating Will."
We're making it fucking right.
We
I
need
feel
this
like-
kind of levity, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like that makes Flynn give like an incredulous like laugh at like the absurdity, and is just gonna be like, yeah, sure.
I mean, do
Why not?
you? No, because listen, do you want him to fucking stutter over being like, "Oh, it's not full in. It's another elf that I know."
Alright, we will save him from his stuttering.
All
You're
right.
so much nicer than me. And she's gonna get started.
All right. You guys get on the broom and you are racing over there. You also know this route by heart. You know what I mean? It's not difficult to get to the witch's clinic. And you sidle on up outside, and you come through the door, and you see Nim sorting through some paperwork. It seems to be maybe like receipts or orders. Elbows on the desk as they look up and they see the both of you. And there's this thing that happens on their face where their eyes soften and they give kind of like this ghost of a smile. In the way that they normally would be like excited or happy that you're visiting them while they're working. This is, however, all hands on deck, worried. And so after that, they go to kind of like sit up straight and kind of put on their more grim business face and says, well, I'm glad we got at least one of them.
Motiva's gonna go to Nim and she's going to like move their hair and she's gonna say, "You don't need to look so grim. We have something to talk about, but it isn't an injury."
Well, that's already a step up from my assumptions. Tell me who's the patient today.
That would be me. I got some unexpected news today.
They go to stand up and they wave a hand to one of the little side hallways away from the front desk and says, why don't we go into one of the rooms and we can talk about it a bit more. Motiva. Please try to make sure nobody comes and swipes anything while I'm gone.
Oh, of course. And Motiva goes to sit where Nim was sitting, and she looks way more nefarious.
Everything is color coded and labeled, and also magically booby trapped. So if you touch them, I'll still know.
I was just gonna leave you love notes. Oh no, how awful.
You seem like the type.
Go talk to Flynn.
Of course, come on. And you're brought into a little exam room with a little comfy sort of like like a comfier version of like a doctor's table, you know. And you give Nim the lowdown. I would love to hear your thoughts. What are you asking? What are you bringing up?
I feel like she doesn't say all that much, honestly. I feel like she like sits down and is just out the gate. So it turns out I'm pregnant.
Tends to happen.
Problem. I don't know whose it is.
Also known to happen. Let me start by giving the same spiel I tell everyone. This is very common. It's not an uncommon problem to have, and it's only as much of a problem as you want it to be. I'm going to start first with giving two options to talk about to begin with. I will have to broach the awkward subject. You do understand basic gestational health in the process. Do I need to walk you through any of that?
No, I'm fairly familiar. I have had a child before. Granted, it was with a different body, but I have been educated on.
Okay, that's good. You would be surprised how many students I've encountered who don't. All right. So, the first thing that I would like to do is try to figure out how far along it is, project a date when the egg will drop. Hatching is a bit more finicky, but I can give you a basic time frame when it is laid, and I can examine the egg itself. And I would like to hear first how you're feeling about the news.
Not as happy as I would like to be. I would like to have children. I don't know. One of the potential sires, I guess, is somewhere in the multiverse.
It definitely is not a good time to find it. This information might alleviate your worries, or it might not. It's common a lot of the times whenever I talk to patients who just find out, their first thought is now isn't a good time. But thankfully, depending on how far along you are, you honestly have potentially a couple quarters before you really have to do anything. And that's a lot of time to, get yourself into a more stable situation and get a support system. Resources, there are a lot of resources at school, childcare. If you want to stop it now because of timing or because who the other parent matters, we can do it right now. No questions asked, no further complications or communication about it. Finding parentage is a lot easier when we can blood test the child. In the womb, it's already difficult, and with eggs, it's a bit more difficult. It's a bit more finicky, a bit harder. There is types of scrying that can try to glean information, but they are very unreliable. And most credible doctors wouldn't suggest them. They're a product of a different time, basically. They were not used in very good situations, and they were not researched very well. But that is an option if you would like. I think that you should make the decision on if you want to commit to this or not before putting in the effort to find out. But that's my professional opinion. I'm not going to push you in any particular direction. I am here to make sure that moving forward you have the best shot.
I'll be honest, I don't quite know what to do.
That's fair. It would be easier, but I would be more worried if you were quick to make a decision. I feel like people who are like that in times like this come to regret it far more. I think you should take some time. I know that there are more things to think about right now. So if you come back to me later with a decision farther down the line, we can talk about it then, see if anything's viable. I still would like to try to find a date if I can.
Yes, if we can figure out how far along it is, I would like to know.
Of course. Again, since I am a doctor and I want you to make informed decisions, the longer you wait, the more difficult it will be if this is something you don't want to continue, but there are options again. I'll go ahead and get that started. But like I said, take your time and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Of course. And Nim is going to give you magic baby exam. Let me see really quick. Okay, awesome. Nim would tell you after doing some spells and some magicy things and examining some charts, um, and would say that they are fairly confident that you're about a month in.
Ah.
They would actually make a comment that's like a little bit of a joke. That if you hadn't found out now, you probably would have started showing within another week or two. And that would have tipped you off. Uh, your projected like egg laying timeline is probably at the end of this quarter, so probably either right before or right after exams. Um, Knowing that, I will go ahead and, if you're comfortable, get into contact with administration. We can move some stuff around for you because that's not a good time to try to do anything. um, of course, I can hold off on that as well, but I don't think if you do manage to lay this egg, I don't think you'll want to do the exam before or after. Uh, and if all things go well, you should have a hatched egg sometime in the third quarter. That can be faster or longer, again, depending on the health of it.
She will nod. Say, I'll keep this in mind. You don't have to go to administration quite yet, but if I come to a decision where that would be necessary, I will let you know.
All right. Would you like a moment?
Yes, please.
You can leave whenever you feel comfortable. And they're
Thank
gonna get up from where they were sitting and talking with you, and they're going to close the door behind them. You get to be in here as long as you want to. Nim would come back up to you, Motiva, in the front, and put, like, kind of like rub a hand from one of your shoulders to the other, right by the shoulder blades, to kind of nudge you off of their chair so they can heavily sit down like the old man that they are.
She would get up. She wouldn't really fight it. Is she okay? Can I go see her?
I would ask that you wait until she comes out to see you. I said that she could have a moment to herself if she'd like. Taking it pretty well. Very unsure. But healthy. There are worse predicaments to be in.
Yeah. Well.
Call me idealistic. But life has a very funny way of moving forward even when it feels like there isn't a pathway forward. So if you want my professional diagnosis, I think she'll be fine. And I think that this is a sign that things will be fine.
She like takes a second and she says, well, as a gossip, that's what I told one of the potential fathers. So we're going to hold on.
It's true. You can rip out the stem of a weed, but it doesn't get rid of the root.
She's just gonna turn into a little fox and she's gonna sit on their lap.
Yeah.
Aww.
You definitely can do that. You curl up, and Nim kind of just like idly scritches behind one of your ears as they go to keep looking through their orders. And however long you stay in their full inn, by the time you come out, Nim looks uh, relaxed, and as they always do. I would be very curious to know if you do anything in particular whenever you're by yourself.
I think honestly she's just thinking many thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is sad, but trying not to cry.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a lot happening all at once.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
probably the worst way you could have found out.
Quite literally. Worst series of events.
Especially because Eleni is gone.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I know, like,
Man.
I know Will was there, right? So, like, Will is obviously an option, but Eleni is also an option. And Eleni's gone.
Eleni's gone and might be dead.
Yeah, might be different.
God. I think she stays back there for a good while.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say it takes her like 10 to 15 to be like, okay, I can go out again.
Yeah, definitely. You guys meet back up, and Nim lets you go on your not so merry way. And when you leave the witch's clinic, you see that it is actually full dark, which means it's probably like 10 p.m. the equivalent.
Man.
The moon is full and bright tonight.
William fucking Kenrith never showed the fuck up.
Hey,
What a
listen. This
bitch.
whole visit was like maybe 30 minutes, and also one of your last parting things was don't tell Nim. You don't know if he was coming here anymore.
Motiva's going to look to Flynn. And she's going to say so. How do you feel about talking on the topic of trying to grab Eleni and helping us look for them?
I think whenever she had come out, she looked very exhausted and vaguely sad. And Motiva bringing that up is kind of the thing that takes her out of that. She kind of straightens up, wipes her face. Yes, yes. We can talk about that. We need to get them back.
We do.
What can I do?
Well, I'm going to force something onto you first. You will not be divining and hurting yourself like last time.
feel like she has to stop herself from wincing and just says, understood.
Besides that, I think the biggest thing is following orders. A lot of planes hopping. We're probably going to check planes that other people are from first. It's easier. More people can go that way. I don't know. I don't know how much you can help as somebody who hasn't sparked. I don't think so. Do you remember walking back here?
How do you mean?
Well, I don't. Do you think that you sparked?
I feel like she kind of furrows her brows and is like thinking.
I'm not gonna lie, whenever Falin looks like she's thinking, Motif is going to shake her head and say, you didn't.
Mhm.
Okay.
You'll know when it happens. If it happens, you know. But since you haven't sparked, I think it will be relying a lot on people who have. But that will be fine because every time I walk, I end up feeling floaty for an hour. So it'll be good to have somebody there. We follow orders. We can divine, but we could maybe use things to not hurt ourselves. There is funnels of magic on Arcavios. There happens to be one at the center of the school that we could use to not hurt our body, our minds. She's looking a little bit pointedly at Falin.
Falin like raises up her hands like in surrender and says, okay.
We just have to look.
Just have to look.
If you've any ideas, that would be cool. My biggest idea is to track Eleni through the scale that I luckily gave you guys.
You still have it on your person also, Falin.
Yes.
That was one of the last things that you guys did collectively before everything happened.
Yep.
I did it as a bit. I did it
Yeah.
to make money. Man.
Man.
It's all coming together.
I think Falin's gonna kind of like think out loud and say, Will has his own divination. I don't know if he. I mean, last time he used it, it was kind of scary, but it gave us information. Otherwise, I
Looking in.
suppose.
Go ahead.
Otherwise, I suppose I can look into ways of divining without necessarily stretching beyond my limits.
If you happen to try doing this divining, will you have somebody around to watch you do it?
Yes, I will have a witness.
Well, maybe somebody that I know and trust.
Who Who would you want with me when I'm divining?
You know the people that I like.
Mm-hmm. Hi.
All right. I think as you guys come to this understanding of the way forward and the weight of everything, you both come together and solidify your resolve. I'm going to stop the recording and we're going to take a little break. During this time, I would love for you guys to send me any ideas you have or any interactions you have. And in an hour, we'll come back and I'll have some scenes for you.
Oh yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy!